Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. This is Jessop's Journal. Waylynn, great to see you.
Hi, great to be here.
Let's go chat.
All right.
Waylynn, it is time to sign into Jessop's Journal.
I'm excited. This is like an honor. This is a big moment I get to sign in this.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. In this episode of Jessop's Journal, I have the illustrious Waylynn Lewis.
Hi.
How y'all? You know, we social distance and had the masks in, but you know, I kind of like to be able to see people's face and their lips moving and all that stuff.
It helps.
So, but we are hand sanitizing, so okay. You know, thanks to the guys at Five Wives, okay, hand sanitizer. And you do not want to get these two sprays mixed up, but this is the other spray that I like to use from Spry. You know, it is a mouth spray. I don't know about you, but you know, mask breath on. Okay, a little moisturizing there. Let's first start with the fact that you are wearing one heck of a nice looking hat.
Thank you.
Okay, where'd you get your hat?
None other than JW Custom Hats.
Well, gosh almighty, huh?
Looky there.
Yes, okay, just for the joke, okay, yeah, JW Custom Hats makes all my hats. I have a couple. Okay, so tell me about this hat. Why did you have it made, and what's it mean to you?
This is a pretty special hat. I've been wanting to have a custom hat made for quite some time, but it's always sort of, you know, it's an investment, and where and who are you going to go with? And Chris Dickinson, who you had on this show as our mutual acquaintance, getting ready to do a workshop and a photo shoot with them, and I had been seeing a lot of posts and firsthand seen the beautiful hats that him and his wife Jo wear, and I said, I think I need to get in on this little hat situation. So we all went down there and all had hats made, and it was just such a phenomenal, amazing experience. I just have to say, truly unsolicited. The whole process of the colors and getting to try on all the different things, he's really just got it down to a beautiful system and an artwork, and so talented, and I absolutely could not be happier with my hat.
I totally agree, because I don't know about you, but I name all my hats. So this one is called the 1869 Home. Okay,
Wow.
little pin up here from my great-great-grandfather who immigrated from Germany to Iowa, of all places, in 1869.
Wow.
So, yeah. They thought that the streets were paved with gold. Well, if you've ever been to Iowa, the only thing that's gold there is like dried corn. So yeah, I did find out about you, true confession, with this picture that Chris Dickinson did.
Yes.
Okay, and there's these two juxtapositions, I like to say. Okay, so it kind of reminded me a little bit of Mad Max. Okay, so there's this guy in a 1930-something Panhead Harley.
Yes.
Okay, he's got the bald head. I mean, it just looks like, you know, the iron horse out of hell or something, you know? And then all the smoke and the dust. And then here's this woman, she's going, you know, and it might have been that hat, I'm not sure, you know, but your hair is blowing and everything.
Yeah.
So what's the backstory on that picture?
The sort of tough and gruff gentleman on that motorcycle is the owner-creator of Black Bear brand, an amazing, beautifully high-end, gorgeous menswear company. And I came to know him through a mutual friend, but mostly he makes a beautiful custom-made cowboy hat in his line, and so I got a cowboy hat from that company. So that was sort of what drew us together, and he had dreamt up and had this vision of a great way to get me in the hat on horseback and really have it like the iron horse next to the horse. And Chris, who is an amazing photographer, and he as well had his own creative vision and dream of doing something like this. So the stars aligned and we all got together, and Chris told us to drive out into the middle of the desert and said he found a perfect dirt road that was lined with sagebrush, as he liked to put it, in case things got ranchy, I could bail off my horse. Because I have to say, I've never raced a motorcycle on horseback before, so I wasn't sure how it was going to go. But Man, it was so much fun, very Mad Max-ish, very just raw, Wild West, and I love that juxtaposition of the motorcycle, and I also ride motorcycles. Well, I haven't in a while.
Really?
I gave it up a little bit,
but
so I just really love those two worlds coming together, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, I used to go to Sturgis, as a vendor, and I convinced my 16-year-old son at the time to go there with me. Well, actually, I convinced his mother to let him go with me.
Exactly.
And I says, okay, now here's the thing. There's a small percentage that are kind of like the Hells Angels. You stay away from them. 40% are doctors and lawyers playing dress up, and everybody else is just Joe Sixpack. Yeah, great people. But I also said, you're going to see more tattoos than you have ever seen in your life. Yep. So I noticed you've got a couple tattoos.
I do. I have.
Oh, there's the horse.
A few of the horse.
I didn't notice that one.
This is my most recent tattoo by a dear, dear friend of mine, an amazingly talented tattoo artist out of LA, Jason. And it just, my love of horses, and I wanted it running, that same sort of running and movement, and just, as it's a little bit of it's a reminder of my love of horses, but also to just like never stop going, just get after it and chase those dreams, and live your life.
Well, I got the impression from that photograph that you've ridden a couple horses.
Yeah, a few.
Okay. Do you remember how old you were when you got on a horse for the first time?
I was on a horse before I could walk. I was on a horse when I was still in diapers. I grew up with horses. When I was born, my parents raised racehorses out in a ranch out in California, in Mission Viejo. So I was doomed from the start. I didn't stand a chance. Yes.
So just out of curiosity, okay, true confession. My stepfather, when I was a kid, he was an interesting person, is the polite way to put it. But he would have me come along with him. My father's son time was with him was at racetracks. So I went to Santa Anita and Hollywood and all that stuff. So the question I'm trying to figure out is,
I can relate.
Okay, was it quarter horses or was it thoroughbreds?
Quarter horses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for people that are out there wondering, what is the difference between a quarter horse and a thoroughbred?
They are very different horses. Quarter horses, it's a little bit more of a niche sort of thing for horse racing. It's not the typical horse that you're going to see and you're going to use. I'm a quarter horse girl through and through. I've ridden thoroughbred ex-race horses off the track. They're amazing, beautiful horses. Fast.
Oh yeah.
You get the long distance fast on a thoroughbred, where the thing I love about quarter horses is just their body build and their shape, of just to give you that real push with the big chested, the big behind, that muscle to just really kick it into high gear and just get after it.
We kind of talk about hats, but we both wear lots of hats. Okay? And everybody wears lots of hats. So you've got the hat of doing the Western wear with your horses. Okay, and you started there. After your dad was out of the picture, what was life like growing up kind of as a teenager?
Gosh, it was both amazing and not so amazing.
Okay.
to be honest,
yes,
it was,
please.
I was able to grow up in Colorado, and I mean, as a teenager, I went to a very small, sort of private school up in the mountains, and I would ride my horse to school. Whoa. And most of my time was spent on the back of my horse, or it was spent snowboarding and doing things like that in the winter. And so I was very fortunate to have that life of the outdoors and horses and nature in the mountains. Right. But there was also, I was a little bit of a troubled child. Grew up in an alcoholic home, an alcoholic family and background, and so I was a troubled lost soul, and a struggling kid. And I have to say, if it weren't for the horses, I truly can honestly say I wouldn't be here today. Those animals, and having that outlet and having that connection with something, with an animal. It showed me love, it showed me discipline. It was a reason to get up and out of bed in the morning to take care of something and be there and spend time with my horse. So it was, my youth, my teenage years were
kind of,
a little bit of everything all rolled into one,
Horses are not like dogs. Okay, you don't pet them, and I'm not sure they're like cats that kind of, but I'm guessing that horses have different personalities.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever worked with a horse that you think kind of reminded you of you?
Yes, I think that's it might be one of those sort of which came first, the chicken or the egg thing, but I think why horses are such amazing therapeutic teaching animals is every horse I've ever really had a relationship with and spent time with, there was always a lesson there. There was always a reflection in myself. Really? And whether it's just the horse, and so that horse was brought into my life to teach me that lesson, or whether it's I'm putting my garbage and my issues onto the horse and therefore it's reflected back at me because I need to work on it. But you know, it's funny, you know, people, the horse trainers and people, and help me out with my horse has an issue, it's this and that. The horse never has the issue, it's the person. It's the person that's putting the issue on the horse. But yeah, I mean, gosh, talk about staring at myself and learning the hard lessons and seeing the truths about myself that aren't always so easy to see, but wow, the growth and getting on the other side of that, and to do it alongside a horse. I mean, I don't think it really can be done any other way. I mean, relationships, marriage, that's those close connections that sort of reveal the lesser desirable parts of yourself.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's like, okay, you know. And talking about relationships, I think we all have a relationship with food, okay? So some people watching this are going, ask her the question about the Food Network. Yeah, but no, not yet. Okay, so, but we've got, well, you tell me, what do we got here?
So this is a little strawberry buttermilk loaf. I do a lot of variations of that. I do a layered cake. I've done a baked donut. So that's sort of my favorite thing, and then just a classic salted chocolate chip cookie that I add a couple little secret ingredients in there to sort of separate it from your run-of-the-mill chocolate chip cookie.
Now you did grow up in Colorado. Just saying. Okay. Now I'm just wondering. Okay, so this cake, it could even maybe find itself on a show like, what do you think? Cake Wars or one of those kind of things? Tell me, you might have actually heard of some of these shows. Tell me about them, and why in the world am I asking you this question? I have been extremely fortunate. When I set out into the world of food, which was a career change for me, I never thought in a million years, and it was never even on my radar that I would end up and be on TV. But I've been so fortunate to somehow be deemed an expert in my field, I guess, if you will, with all my training in restaurants and phenomenal chefs that I've had the fortune and the opportunity to work under. So I get to judge cake competition shows on the Food Network. Awesome. Which basically means I get paid to eat cake. Yeah. let them eat cake.
Right.
Waylynn, we bring you cake. On the one hand, it's quote unquote reality TV. On the other hand, it's semi-scripted TV. You want to explain to people what the difference is on that? I know I'm asking you to kind of,
you're asking me to like the curtain.
Open the curtain, I don't know.
I will say that I would never want to be in the position of these competitors on these shows because what you're watching on TV, they're doing it, they're baking it, they're, you know what I mean? They obviously they know to plan and travel and get that they're going to be on the show, so they have the opportunity to memorize those recipes and really study up and all those things. But what you're seeing and you're watching, I mean, they're doing it, and I will tell you, just to let you know how real it is I have eaten cakes where they have forgotten the sugar.
Oh, okay.
Where they've forgotten the oil. Basically, what I'm saying is I've eaten cakes that taste like cardboard because you don't really think about it and realize the pressure of cameras on you and a time clock and people yelling at you, 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left. It's a very high pressure, high stress situation, and so sometimes some of those key ingredients go right out the window, but I have to eat it anyway. So
with a smile.
Yep.
Hey, where's my hat? No.
Try and and give constructive criticism wherever possible.
Okay, then I'm going to flip back to that, because you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Is there any particular thing that you tried where you went, oh my gosh, this is like, wow, give me the recipe type stuff? Are there any favorites that you've, I mean, you've done a lot, so it's kind of hard to pick.
I have probably eaten hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of cake, and I can hands down, without a doubt, say that there is one cake that is so memorable, and it's memorable for two reasons, and this is sort of a deeper conversation into food and why I do what I do, but it was a Girl Scout themed, Scouts of America themed, whatever you want to call it, episode, and he made for his this gentleman made it to the finals, and he did a trail mix cake. And so it had, the chocolate, the nuts, all the different, things that make up trail mix combined into this cake. And it was so unique and well thought out and just so delicious. And he went on to win, and he was an older gentleman, and when we announced that he won, he just burst into tears and said this was a bucket list thing for him. And I truly believe that cake was so delicious because it meant so much to him. He really truly put his all and his heart and his soul into that cake. And that's, to me, what separates, good food from great food.
So how in the world did you get into the food thing? Okay, figure out the horses, okay? You got the diaper, you got the walking, you got horses. Okay, yeah, I got that, okay. But, it's like, did you like to cook when you were a teenager?
Oh, no. It's the running joke in my family that I ended up a chef because I could not boil water to save my life.
There we go. Okay.
But my mom was an amazing cook, and she learned to cook with Wolfgang Puck. And
serious?
Oh yeah, and I mean, amazing, amazing. So as dysfunctional and chaotic as my family life was growing up, food was always our thing. There was always food. There was always a meal, and at the end of the day, and dinner together, and our trips would be based around food, and food was sort of our thing amongst the chaos and the dysfunction. So it's funny looking back. It's like, of course, I would gravitate back towards that, but I had a career working in fashion, and
oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't that kid that knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do so many things. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an FBI agent. I wanted to be a large animal veterinarian. So, and I went through and I tried all of it, and I ended up working in fashion for years in LA.
Yeah. So, have you ever heard of the California Fashion Mart?
I worked there for years.
Serious?
Yes, yep, I did. Okay, that was the start of my fashion career.
Serious?
Yep, CalMart.
Okay, weird truth, Auntie M, if you're out there, my aunt was actually the director of the California Fashion Mart.
Get out of here.
So you go from fashion, and okay, so did you do anything with the FBI, or do you have an FBI file? What you say?
We're not going to go there.
Okay.
On to the next.
Yeah.
So I worked in fashion for years. I sort of did everything you can do, from designing to modeling to managing showrooms, and working with denim companies, and I realized that was not the career path and the life for me. So I quit, and I had conveniently a vacation plan to Costa Rica, and I fell in love with Costa Rica, and I was a big surfer, and so basically sold everything I owned and moved to Costa Rica, and found myself living there, and decided to open up a coffee shop, and somehow it turned into this bakery restaurant, and that's really where my love of food began. And so I had that restaurant for a couple years.
What was it called?
It was called Sugar Mommies.
Sugar Mommies.
Yep.
Okay. Not to be confused with Sugar Daddies, but
it was sort of a running joke, because I was testing recipes and really teaching myself how to bake. I mean, I liked baking cookies and stuff, just for fun growing up, but there's something to be said for baking in the jungle when it's 100 degrees and 100% humidity. So I would, be just tinkering around, baking all these things, and give them to friends and everyone in the community. And it was sort of like I was everyone's like sugar mommy. Passing out the baked goods, keeping it. So we named the restaurant that, and so I sold it, and really decided that that's what I really wanted to do. And I did both sweet and savory cooking. and I decided that sweets was what I wanted my focus on.
Okay.
So I did a year baking and pastry program back in California and LA.
Cool.
Because, you know, it's a science, and you know, how you can take flour, sugar, butter, eggs, and depending how you combine them, you can get 100 different things and results. And so, and here we are today.
Well, you know, kind of coming back to the conversation we had a little bit earlier, you know, when that interview that I did with the professional photographer, Chris, you know, and we kind of teased, it's like, just because you have a camera doesn't make you a professional photographer. Just because you have a cowboy hat does not make you a cowboy.
Yep.
Now, I've got a toque, okay? I've got lots of hats. A toque, just so people know, is a chef hat, okay? But you know, I play one on television, but that's about as good as it's going to get, you know? So what is your definition of a chef? What makes it, you know, from somebody that's doing a hobby to being a chef?
There's a lot of dues that have to be paid to be called a chef, and I truly think a chef is someone that has to base their life and their career and their livelihood cooking food, and have done the hours, and you know, what's that saying, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Like, you have to have logged the hours and the time and really worked your way up from, you know, the bottom up. I remember in high school for summer jobs, I started as a dishwasher and worked my way up, and after even after culinary school, after I had owned my own restaurant, I interned and worked for free, and you do the grunt work. You pay your dues. You peel 10 cases of apples until you're like, your eyes are about to bleed, because you're just, it's so monotonous, and you know, you pay those dues, and you work hard, and you keep your mouth shut, and and you know, there's a lot of young folk coming out of culinary school, or because, you know, food TV and all these cooking chef shows, you know, oh, I'm a chef. I'm like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. No,
no, you're not.
Well, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I've got a nephew that's a Marine. Okay, he's not active duty now, but he will always be a Marine. Okay, is it the same thing with chef? I mean, do you kind of keep that title for life?
Yeah, for life.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't ever, it's one of those things that it becomes part of your being, part of your DNA. It never leaves you. You're always, you know, a chef. I am not the same chef that I once was, believe it or not, as you see me here with, you know, a little bubbly smile. And I was mean. I was nasty. I would throw things and make people cry and scream and yell, and you know, it used to be, you know, you see the Gordon Ramsays, and you know, it used to be this very well accepted sort of thing where, you know, even when I was learning to make bread from this French chef, you know, if I spilt flour, I was hit with a wooden spoon.
Serious?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not joking. It was
okay.
I'm very thankful and happy that it is something that is not accepted and allowed anymore. But I'm a very different chef than I once was. Funny story, actually. This is a good one.
Okay.
I left the restaurant industry because it was insanely grueling, long days, long hours. I had no life. I didn't see my friends. I didn't see my family, and I became this bitter, angry, throwing pots and pans sort of person, and I had to stop and say, this is not why I got into this. I got into this to connect and make people happy and smile and bring them food and, you know, have that happy relationship. So I left the restaurant industry. I ended up opening a bakery in LA, and we had just opened. It was very early on, so you know, all eyes were on us, and everyone's very critical and quick to judge, and everyone wants to catch you in a mistake. And so I was inspecting. We did the bakery was called Donuts. It was baked donuts. So I was going through with a glove on, inspecting all the donuts, and I found one of them was undercooked. And so there was this open window, and I threw it at the oven, and all my employees were standing back there behind me, and I started screaming, just horrible, hurtful, mean, just angry screaming. And I'm going through and I'm pulling all the donuts out of the case, and I'm throwing them, you know, not at the employees, but in their general direction to make a point. And I was so mad. And so throwing the donuts one at a time didn't cut it anymore. So I pulled a sheet tray out. And I took the whole thing, and I threw it up in the air, and I slammed it on the ground. And well, there's this thing called gravity. So they went up, they came down, and the sheet tray and the impact, all the donuts came back up and came right down on me. I never yelled. I never raised my voice. I was never nasty. Another moment after that, because it was just this like very funny, here I am, now the one covered in my donuts. And we all just kind of had this moment of eye contact, and then we just laughed.
Yeah. So you were that horse that was just bucking and just, okay, fine, I'm done.
Yep, okay, fine, I'm done. I'm done,
okay.
I'm done, you got me, yep.
Okay, wow. It's weird because when I interview people, I start finding all these weird little connections. Okay, so number one, yeah, shameless plug, we both use the same hatter.
Yeah.
Okay, shameless plug, we both know the same photographer, and he's going to be doing some photo stuff with me. We both know the California Fashion Mart.
Yeah.
Okay. We both like food. I'm just saying, okay. But way back in the beginning of my career, I was a country music disc jockey. Okay. And I would meet celebrities and this, that, and the other occasionally and everything.
Wow.
But you have an intriguing name. Okay.
Yes.
You know, I could just be totally off base, but you know, I'm just wondering if you know Waylynn and Willie and the boys, you know?
Well, first of all, just that you know that, and to equate my name with that, much respect there. But it's a generational thing. Kids these days are like, huh, Waylynn, Willie, who,
yeah.
what? Yes, I do know Waylynn, Willie, and the boys. My godfather is Waylon Jennings, so whether I was a boy or a girl, by golly, I was going to be named Waylynn. But they changed the spelling to make it a little more feminine, which, you know, I like and appreciate. But still, growing up, and still everyone hears my name, and they always look for, you know,
well, see, I figured it was a combination of Waylon Jennings and Loretta Lynn.
Oh,
okay,
hey, I like
okay,
the way you're thinking. I
Okay.
like that. So I have a little, I call it my ranch where I live. It's like a little mini farm ranch, and I have, I think, maybe 35 animals now, and they are all old, classic country western names. So my horse is named Hank.
Okay.
My chickens, we have Dolly, Tammy, Winona, Loretta. I have a baby donkey named Emmy Lou. I mean, they're all named after the country greats.
Yes, there you go. I always used to like Emmy Lou Harris. But
Yeah.
Anyhow, so you know, the thing that's interesting is the name of this series is called Jessop's Journal, you know, and so Rustico's the guys that make my journals, and they made this one for me. And actually, I got to help make it. And they were going to throw away this piece of leather because it's got these scars on it. You know, they're going to make one for you. But I'm getting, no. This represents me. To me, life comes with scars. They have a hashtag called Leave Your Mark. Okay? So, okay, the official last question of the interview. Here we go. So, Waylynn.
Yes.
How do you want to leave your mark?
Oh my gosh. By making a difference, by giving back. I try and use my platform and my name, and that I have a little tiny bit of a following from what I do on TV and things, and I try and be very open and real about my life and my past and my history, and be relatable, and I really try and be authentic. I think in this day and age, especially with social media, it paints this picture that everything is perfect, and I try and share the not so perfect things about me and my life, and the things that I, you know, overcome and still have to overcome and deal with on a daily basis, and that for me is how I want to leave a mark. I want to, you know, inspire people to chase their dreams and to be real and authentic, and if the crazy, horrible things that I've gone through in my life, if I can help somebody who's maybe going through those as well, I want to share that and, you know, be that person. And it's funny, that's sort of the direction that I'm taking, you know, my career path now, to kind of help educate people about food and where their food comes from, and it was a very big leap and change of pace in life to leave living in LA and these glamorous jobs and glamorous restaurants and chefs that I worked for, to come back to the mountains and connect with, you know, the horses and the peace and happiness that comes from that, and the mountains. And everyone always comments, oh, you have this dream life and you have all these animals and you have all these things, and there is nothing different from me to anybody out there. I made the choice to chase my dreams and follow my dreams, and you know, the animals and the healingness that comes from that we talked about is something that I very much want to do. And actually, Chris, our mutual amazing photography friend, him and his wife, Jo, and I are going to be doing some women's retreats.
Really?
To sort of connect back to that and the animals and the sort of, grit of working hard and being strong, independent women and things like that. So it really has become about me wanting to leave my mark of helping and giving back, and just even if it's just one person, making a little bit of a difference.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming on.
Thank you.
There's a couple other people we want to thank. Number one, I want to thank that guy right there. Okay. Hey, Ed. Ed is the guy that makes sure we look good and that we sound good. And since we're both in the TV, you know exactly what I'm saying. It's like, okay. And then, of course, Rustico that makes the journals.
Which, by the way, I love. I have my favorite purse that I use every day is made by them, and they're a local company, and love them, love Rustico. So you just got good taste.
There
Rustico, JW hats, I like it.
There you go. And of course, we did the hand sanitizing from Ogden's Own Distillery, and yes, we have some adult beverages here for you. The thing that's interesting is, yes, I've got the mouth spray, okay? But the other thing is, and this sounds goofy as heck, but I did a story on this and I was so impressed. I'm going, we need to tell more people about this. So we think about, hand sanitizing, but have you really thought about, not kidding, sounds disgusting, but no, washing your nose, And so the folks at Clear do that. And then I got Taylor Cooperative, and we've got to give the last shout out to our friends at JW Custom Hats. Okay, thanks guys. So here's the thing I want people to remember. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. With another entry into Jessop's Journal and Waylynn, I'm Doug Jessop, ABC4 News.